You signed up for 3 free months of that project management tool, and now you're paying $47 a month for something you barely use. You can't cancel because your entire team's workflows are buried in there. Ever wonder why every app you've ever touched suddenly wants to charge you monthly for the rest of your life? Today, I'll explain why software companies are panicking about their subscription models like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand what's actually happening to all those monthly charges draining your bank account. You'll also see why the next few years are going to look very different. Here's what's going on with the subscription economy. For the last 15 years, every software company on planet Earth had the same business plan. Get you hooked on a free trial, make it stupid easy to sign up, then quietly start charging your card every month. They charge until you die or remember to cancel, whichever comes first. It worked incredibly well. The average company now pays for 130 different SaaS subscriptions. The average person pays for somewhere between 10 and 20 monthly subscriptions right now. I'd bet real money you forgot about at least 3 of them. Think about Adobe, Spotify, Netflix, Disney+, and Hulu. Don't forget ChatGPT, Notion, Dropbox, and all those other tools either. That meditation app you used exactly twice in January 2023, they're all sipping from your bank account like tiny little vampires, draining anywhere from $5 to $50 each. But here's the thing. People are done with this, and they're canceling fast. Not in a dramatic, I'm deleting everything kind of way, but in a slow, steady, wait, why am I paying for this kind of way. Corporate budgets are getting slashed everywhere. Regular people are looking at inflation, rent hikes, and grocery bills that make them want to cry. They're finally opening that subscriptions tab and actually looking. And what they're finding is completely ridiculous. 7 streaming services and 4 productivity apps that do basically the same thing. The bubble didn't pop because of some big dramatic crash. It popped because everyone woke up on the same Tuesday, looked at their credit card statement, and said, absolutely not. According to recent data, subscription cancellations increased by 35% in the last year alone. That's millions of people suddenly paying attention. So, what actually is the SaaS bubble, and why does it matter? Imagine if every store in your neighborhood switched from selling you stuff to renting you stuff. You don't buy a hammer anymore, you rent it for $4.99 a month. Sounds insane, right? But that's exactly what happened with software over the past decade. Microsoft Word used to cost $150 once, and you owned it forever. Now Microsoft 365 is $9.99 a month, forever, and you own nothing. The same thing happened with Adobe Photoshop, which used to be a one-time $699 purchase. But here's what they didn't tell you about this model. Software companies loved this because the math was beautiful. One customer paying $10 a month for 5 years is worth $600. That's way better than selling them something once for $100. Investors loved it even more because recurring revenue is predictable. SaaS companies were getting funded left and right, and valuations went bonkers. Zoom went public and was worth $16 billion. Slack sold to Salesforce for $27 billion. If you had a product and it wasn't subscription-based, investors looked at you like you just showed up to a job interview in Crocs. Between 2015 and 2021, venture capital poured over $300 billion into SaaS companies, all betting that you'd keep paying $9.99 forever without question. But, and this is a big but, the model only works if people keep paying. And that's where the whole thing started cracking apart. Companies went subscription crazy, and everything became a subscription. Your doorbell, your car's heated seats, even your toothbrush. BMW tried to charge a monthly fee to unlock heated seats that were already installed in your car. We hit subscription saturation hard. Here's where it gets messy for these companies. SaaS companies were built to grow fast, not to be profitable. They raised millions, sometimes billions, in investor cash. Then they spent it all on ads, sales teams, and free trials to get as many users as possible. The idea was, get huge first, figure out profits later. But later just showed up, and it brought bad news. Interest rates went up, and investors stopped throwing money at unprofitable companies. Suddenly, every SaaS business had to prove it could actually make money, not just grow. And guess what? Most of them can't do it. They've been bleeding cash for years, hoping you'd keep paying $15 a month forever. But you're not anymore. The churn rate, that's how many people cancel every month, is spiking. The average SaaS company now loses 25% of its customers every single year. That means they need to replace a quarter of their entire user base just to stay flat. Some companies are seeing churn rates as high as 40%, which is basically a death sentence. Therefore, we're seeing the correction happen in real time. Layoffs are happening everywhere. Salesforce cut 10% of its workforce, and Zoom laid off 1,300 people. Shopify, Stripe, DocuSign, they all did multiple rounds of cuts. These aren't struggling startups. These are companies you've actually heard of. They're slashing costs, killing features, and jacking up prices on loyal customers. They're trying to squeeze more money out of fewer people to survive. If you've noticed your favorite app suddenly costs more, this is why. Industry analysts predict that 40% of current SaaS companies will either shut down or get acquired by 2026. That's 2 out of every 5 apps you're using right now. But wait, there's a twist coming. This isn't just about companies failing. It's about what comes next. Because when the subscription model stops working, companies have to try something new. Some are pivoting to one-time purchases again. Others are going freemium only and making money off ads instead. A bunch are getting acquired or merged into bigger platforms. And some, brace yourself, are going back to pay-per-use pricing. You don't pay monthly anymore. You pay per action, per report generated, per file exported, per email sent. It's like the anxiety of a taxi meter, but for software. OpenAI is already testing this with API pricing. Some email tools now charge per email sent instead of per month. This matters to you because the next few years are going to be weird. That app you rely on might double its price overnight. It might get acquired by a company that kills all the features you actually liked. It might just shut down entirely and give you 30 days to export your data. The age of set-it-and-forget-it subscriptions is dying. You'll actually have to pay attention to what you're paying for. You'll need to keep backups and have alternatives ready when services disappear without warning. And here's the uncomfortable part nobody wants to say out loud. We did this to ourselves, at least partially. Not in a victim-blaming way, but we rewarded this behavior. We clicked Start Free Trial without reading the terms. We ignored the email that said, your trial ends in 3 days. We kept paying because canceling required logging in and finding the settings page. It required clicking through 2 confirmation screens and answering a survey. Companies designed it that way on purpose. We knew it was happening, but we didn't care enough to stop it. We didn't stop until our bank accounts started crying for help. The average person spends 14 minutes signing up for a new service, but they spend over an hour trying to cancel it. That's not an accident. That's strategy. So where does that leave us right now? You've got 5 solid options to take control. 1. Audit your subscriptions right now and cancel anything you haven't used in 2 months. You'll save $50 to $100 instantly. 2. Stop auto-renewing everything and set calendar reminders. Manually decide if you still want it next year. 3. Use the free tier until it actually stops you from doing what you need. 4. Share accounts where it makes sense and is allowed. And 5. Get comfortable with the idea that software might cost money up front. Again, those prices were never real to begin with. They were subsidized by venture capital and the assumption that you'd never leave. Now, the bill's coming due. To recap what we covered today, the SaaS subscription model made software companies rich by charging you forever for tools you used to own outright. It worked great until everyone hit subscription fatigue and started canceling in record numbers. Companies got caught spending more than they made. Now they're scrambling to survive through layoffs, price hikes, and desperate pivots. What comes next is chaos for the industry. Some will survive by changing their models, others will disappear completely. You'll need to actively manage what you're paying for instead of letting it run on autopilot. So here's the real question for you to think about. Would you rather pay $200 once and own software forever? A version of monthly subscriptions that feels fair instead of predatory?